with CJ, with CJ, with CJ. Coolin' with CJ, with CJ, with CJ. We coolin' with CJ, with CJ, with CJ.
All right, welcome to another episode of Cooling with CJ. We have a special guest in the building. He is one half of the tag team, The Righteous, alongside Dutch. Please welcome to the studio, Mr. Vincent.
Hello.
Appreciate you joining us today, Vincent.
Thanks for having me, man.
No problem, no problem. So, was wrestling always in the cards for you, Vincent, or did you grow up, wanting to be something else, like a doctor or a lawyer or something?
Look at me. I think I'd make a great lawyer.
Oh yeah, sure.
Right. Uh, for sure, man. It was always what I wanted to do for the longest time ever. And I did another interview where I mentioned this. We're going to Providence on Thursday coming up, right? And the arena that we're going to be performing in, that's the arena that I used to walk to from my grandmother's apartment with my dad, my aunts, my cousins, um, sitting on my dad's shoulders watching those live events from that very building. And then, it's cool because I got to perform there for the first time ever in my entire career in this building with him there is super special for me. But it's always been in the cards, man. It's like since I was a little kid, like maybe 5 years old, I wrestling. My dad actually built a small 10 by 10 ring for me and my brother when I was a kid in our backyard with like PVC pipes like cemented into the ground. And then he built like a little platform with some mats on it, just kids messing around. He ran some rope through it. But any chance I could get to do anything that had any relation to pro wrestling was always the thing, man. And it's just, even high school, we all had the guidance counselors and they'd sit down and they'd say, what college you want to go to? And I said, I want to be a professional wrestler, man. Like, I don't think I don't think I'm gonna go to college. I want to go. I should have, you know what I mean. I tell my daughter's gonna go to college, like, but just to have that, you never know. But I was so focused on becoming a pro wrestler. That's all I wanted to do. So anytime that it came up of like even through my career of training and stuff, when I trained up in Massachusetts with Spike Dudley, I had every odd job you can possibly imagine, just trying to work around wrestling. Like, oh, this job, oh, we need you for Saturday, Sunday. Well, I can't do that. I got wrestling shows. I can't do a Tuesday night either, or a Thursday night because I got training. So I'd always try to like do things to work around it. But yeah, man, it was always what I wanted to do.
Yeah, nice. And it's never too late to go back to school. It took me 6 years to go back to graduate school.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right. It's never too late for sure. I mean, there's other interests. There's other
yeah,
stuff that I do. Like I'm heavily into movies, and
yeah.
special effects and art and stuff. So I did dabble into doing an apprenticeship as a tattoo artist. I always wanted to go to a special effects school. Like I'm a big horror fan, so like Tom Savini has a school in Pittsburgh that I was interested in. Um, and it's that kind of stuff. So like anything that I could always be like kind of hands-on creative is just something that I've always was interested in. But wrestling was always number one, man. That was always like the goal. Like I had to do it no matter what it took.
Yeah, right. So it seems like it's working out for you, and not too bad, right? So it seems like right.
Yeah. There's ups, there's downs, and but right now, man, it's a blessing, and like I'm very grateful for like a place like All Elite Wrestling to be around and to be created, because it gives a lot of people the platform to do what they love and perform and stuff. So it's it's been awesome. It's been
Yeah,
awesome. So
nice. So let's go to 2012, Ring of Honor,
yeah,
ROH. You make your television debut against Ryan
right.
Smash. Yep, television debut. Baltimore, Maryland. I'm from Maryland. I'm from PG County, Maryland, but I went to school
Okay,
in Oregon
were you
State.
there?
No, I wasn't there. I wish. So
Okay.
2012, I was in college. So
Oh,
yep,
okay.
in Morgan State at that time, so I could have went if I really wanted
Right,
to.
right, right,
I used
right,
to school. Yeah, so I don't think I had a car at that point. I might have had a car, but yeah,
right,
it's
right.
hard to get around. But describe that, finally making it to that television debut. Like, okay, this is what I've worked my whole life for. Here we go.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's like, and it's crazy because like before that, I kind of like that was 2012, right? That's when that was listed. Yeah, 2012. So like I started at the end of 2009, with Spike, at his school. So and then I started like in 2010, started to kind of like get my feet wet in the East Coast area and started traveling a little bit, like to New York, Philly, all that kind of stuff. But at any chance I would get, I remember it was a year into Spike. I went to the first Ring of Honor, one of the first Ring of Honor camps, tryouts over in Philadelphia when they were there, and I went to a couple of them. And they said like get it, go out, get it more experience, keep getting experience. And then I did another tryout. I think it was like after my second one. It might have been after my second one, but they called me and said, "Hey, are you available for the Baltimore show? For television. We want to have you wrestle Rhino." And for me, man, we all grew up watching wrestling. You know exactly who that is. So you're kind of like, oh man, this is pretty awesome. But in my young mind, not realizing like where I'm at in my career and not ready for, I'm thinking I'm gonna go there and go 15 minutes toe to toe with Rhino. Like as a kid, I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna go there and wrestle Rhino. We're gonna go like this is gonna be a long, cool match. This is gonna be cool. So I go there, whatever. I'm pumped. It's my first time being on any type of television or, high profile anything, especially having the chance to get in there with somebody like that. So I go there and they're like, okay, 30 seconds, you versus Rhino. He's going to come in, he's going to give you the belly to belly thing, and you're just going to, do the gore, and that's it. And I was like, you know what? Let's do it. It's going to be I'll try to make it the best gore that he could possibly give somebody at the current time. But it was an experience, man. And he's the best. Ryan's the best. He's such a cool dude. I worked with him, over an Impact at 1.2. Very, very awesome guy. I wish him the best too. But yeah, he made my experience. He made me very comfortable. I was very nervous as a young kid, going in there my first time. Didn't know what to expect, but he made me very comfortable in the scenario, and I think it worked out pretty great. Yeah, and they ended up using that gore on their opening of their program for like a year's time. So I think I did all right with that.
At least knew who you were at that point. It was like, oh,
Right, right.
it was the dude that got the gore, but at least you know who I am.
Yeah, but it was a very exciting time. I still remember like getting called for that, so it was kind of like, oh, okay, and it made me feel like, okay, all the time I've been putting in training, because like you go through training, and a lot of people go through it. You get frustrated, and you just kind of want. I feel like I'm working so hard and nothing's, but it will happen. It's all timing. It's all, it eventually come if you just stick with it and stay in the loop of everything. But I remember still this day getting that call. I was like super pumped. You know what I mean? So yeah, that kind of kicked it off, man. And then I kind of did a bunch of like enhancement stuff going forward. They had me in like a lot of stuff at DeBurns Arena is where they did a lot of those tapings. So in Philly, like I did a lot of that like East Coast loop whenever Ring of Honor would come around, and they'd have me do a lot of enhancement stuff. Yeah, during that time.
Nice, nice. Okay. So you go from gore 30-second match to the Kingdom stable. So
Yes.
before we get into the accomplishments about the Kingdom, just talk about first what it was like joining, a stable, because obviously singles competitor, it's just one person in the ring, but a stable
Correct.
is 6 people at one time, maybe 4 people at one time. So much more
Right.
complicated. So how was it joining like a tag team or stable?
Yeah, it was pretty cool, man, and it was kind of unexpected. Well, it was. I started with Taven. I started with Matt Taven. Like we started together in training at Spike's thing, and he kind of once he had gotten injured, he kind of took some time off, and he was going to come back and recreate the kingdom because Bennett had left at that time, and it was going to be in his vision. So I was one of his picks that he was kind of wanting to be a part of that with, and in the getting there, it was just so like it's stuff like I said, timing. Things just happen so quickly when that happened. Like I remember I took some time off in 2014. I had my daughter. We were kind of figuring out that kind of stuff, and then 2015 I went to one more tryout, and this is I took time off 2014. I said, all right. I got myself in the best shape that I possibly could. I went to this tryout, and then I didn't hear anything, but there was interest, and then I wrestled Jay Lethal in my hometown one on one. Um, in a pretty lengthy match for me at my time in my career, and for Jay being like double champion. I think he was TV and world champion at the time. But the match, I thought, for where I was at the time, was came off pretty well, and I was very happy with it, and so was Jay. And then shortly after that, I got called and said, oh, we want to offer you a contract and be a part of the kingdom. And it was cool, and it was different because like I was very comfortable, obviously, because I started with Taven, so it was very, that comfort thing was already kind of there with this, and we kind of had the vision of what it could be. It was also a cool test to me because I had never done 6 man. I'd never done 6 man stuff at the time, and I feel like that's when it kind of started kind of like be like, okay, 6-man stuff happening. You know, it's always been around wrestling, but now it was like it's going to be a thing, like a staple in Ring of Honor, you know? So that was kind of a cool thing of like how we can like, you know, create this thing and then like the chemistry in ring and how to make it work with like the, you know, 6 guys, you know, in the match and how we can make kind of those things work. And then we at the Hammerstein we became the first ever Ring of Honor 6-man tag team champions, which was another highlight of my career of kind of like, wow, you know, in 2012, like we just talked about when I did the Rhino stuff, I was up in the stands, I remember, of the Hammerstein watching one of the, I think it might have been Final Battle, watching from the stands very up top, you know, looking down at the show. And then you go to 2016 and I'm in the same building, you know, as the first ever 6-man tag team champ. So it's like, and again, I think it's just like consistency and just staying in it and just, you know, working hard and just, you know, kind of getting over, you know, those obstacles of getting through. But yeah, yeah, it was cool, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I always thought with the Ring of Honor 16 tag team championship, that's kind of like a cool idea because you always have these tag teams. It's not always 2 people. It's like 3 people. It's 4,
Right.
5 people. So
Yeah.
really
And
that
for us,
to win the title.
right. And for us, I feel like it kind of like, it you know you know sometimes you get like 2 guys and then like one guy that's random that doesn't really fit, and like I feel like we all kind of figure it out, like the chemistry of the group, whether it be the look or the in-ring stuff or whatever it was. I think at the time that like kind of worked, you know what I mean, for that time in our career.
Yeah. So like you said, 2016, you become the first champs, and then you also have the record for most before the Kingdom. They have the most with the 4 tag team championships, 6-man tag team champions. So how does it feel to be etched in history, not only as the first, but also the standard for that belt?
Yeah, it's crazy because sometimes I forget about that.
Yeah.
And someone's like, "Oh, you've held it the most times, like a 4-time Ring of Honor." You know, it was like it was the 3 with the Kingdom, and then you know, with the Righteous, you know, myself, Dutch, and Bateman were the 6-man tag team champions when we won in the last Final Battle of 2021 is when we won those. But it's cool, man. You know what I mean? Because like again, we talk about, has wrestling always been a part of me? Like, have I always wanted to do it since I was a kid, right?
Right.
And growing up as a kid, you hear about those things like history books. Okay, this person held this the longest, and yada yada yada. And to be a part of that, still to me, you know, I'm 38 years old. It's still well, like, wow, that's weird that I'm a part of like something that's, you know, I grew up on, like knowing other people are a part of, you know. So it's pretty cool, man. It's cool. You know, I'm happy that, you know, I was able to kind of, you know, have that be a part of my career. It's very cool.
Yeah. Nice. Nice.
But
So
now me and Dutch got to get the tag titles,
yeah,
like from Dutch
gotta get
and
that.
we're on the chase right now for Sammy and Dustin with the ROH tag titles. So that's, you know, trying to get to that one now.
Got you. Okay, so you do your thing in OH, then you
Mhm.
move to Impact. So you make your debut after a 10-man hardcore war tag team match. Like, what was that like? You was causing havoc. You was just everybody you saw, you was kind of
Yeah,
like, what was that
yeah,
like? Debut like that?
and it was crazy because like it happened again, something that just happened quickly. You know what I mean? It's just we went there and like boom, and it's funny because if you watch that,
Mm,
I attack Rhino,
yeah,
you know, which
yeah,
is like, you know, you watch it, and yeah, and when
yeah,
they excuse me, when you do it,
mhm,
when I you know, when we're doing it, it's just like, wow, how interesting is that? You know, all these years later, like that's like how this ends up. You know, everything comes full circle, and that's, to me, that's a lot of the times like the coolest part of this is just like some stories are just written like not on purpose, they just happen, you know, things just kind of come full circle just on, you know, again, timing and however it sets up, you always kind of, you know, come back to something eventually at some point. So it's very interesting. But yeah, man, that was a cool night. We did the Honor No More thing, and again, like starting with Taven, like I've known Eddie Edwards for a very long time, so like he came from the Northeast area, so I kind of came up, but he was ahead of me, but he was always around, so he's one of my good friends too. So, you know, and it was Bennett and Taven and, you know, and Maria, and everybody was kind of involved in that thing. So it was a very fun thing to do at the time for, and I thought it was kind of cool. It was different, you know, with everything that happened in Ring of Honor. Like we were the crew that kind of came in and did the Honor No More thing against like, you know, Team Impact or whatever it was. But like it was very interesting, and working with PCO was very fun. You know what I mean? I got to work with PCO. Um, crazy PCO, but great dude. So it was a lot of fun doing that. Yeah, it was very different. Very different for me too because like we had just did the myself and Taven feud. It was like a 2 year feud in ROH, and we ended it in the cage match, which we had the big match inside the cage after the 2 year feud, which was one of my favorite things I've done in my career, just because like I love that long kind of story that has like a lot of substance to it and has some like just so many layers to it that people can kind of pick things out along the way. You know what I mean? That's what keeps it interesting. But and then we ended up doing the Honor No More thing. So it was just an interesting time, but it was fun. It was fun, man. It was fun doing that.
Yeah, nice, nice. All right, Vincent, this is a unique part of our segment where it's called Fast Five. So if you ever watch Family Feud, at the end, they kind of have like the quick hit questions at the end and the time.
Okay.
This isn't exactly time, so we're going to have 5 questions. I just ask you a question, you just give me an answer, we go to the next one. So
Okay.
real quick hits. All right, so first one, favorite meal, any meal you can eat.
Pasta.
Pasta. Gotcha. What is your favorite sport outside of wrestling?
I was never a big sports guy, but favorite sport outside of wrestling. Um, let's see. Oh, I would have to go. Let's go football. If I was gonna watch, yeah, I like live games, so let's go that.
Yeah. Okay, nice, nice. Okay, what is the best city you wrestled in front of? So the crowd was going crazy. You just like the atmosphere. What's the best city you wrestled in front of? And it could be
New
anywhere.
New York City.
New York. Yep.
Yeah,
I figured that.
yeah.
What's your favorite type of match? It could be a tag team match, a type of tag team match, a type of singles match, any type of match.
Uh, I would like. Uh, Uh, I like a no DQ match or like those are fun. Yeah, like a
So,
bunkhouse brawl or a fight without honor. Those are cool. Yeah, and I like those.
nice, nice. And then your last one. Who is your GOAT tag team of all time? Any
Mine.
brand? Nice. Hey, I'm
No, 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 no. You're talking my favorite
Oh,
tag team
yeah,
of all time.
yeah, yeah. Who is your favorite tag team of all time? Any brand?
Okay, it would be the Hardys.
Okay,
The
okay.
Hardys. The Hardys are as a teenager. Those were my guys when I was a teenager. So yeah, the
Yeah,
Hardys.
nice, nice. Okay, so summer 2023, last year, you started making appearances on AEW, but I think a lot of us were kind of like, okay, are you signed? Are you just making appearances? Is this kind of like a feud where you come from another brand and come on here and cause havoc? So when did you make the decision to jump from, Impact to AEW?
Yeah, we did. What did we do? We had the 6 man tag titles, and we went and did Death Before Dishonor,
Mhm.
and it was against Dalton and the boys.
Yeah,
Um, and then, excuse me, my nose is leaking a little here.
yeah.
As long as I got no boogers coming out my nose on a live stream,
You're good.
yeah. But we did that, and then I AEW is cool, man. You know what I mean? When I was watching it, I thought it was cool. It was somewhere I wanted to be, and we went and did that. And even on that show, Death Before Dishonor, it just like had a cool vibe to it. Like I don't know, it just felt like it was cool when Tony finally got ROH. Do you know what I mean? Because like a lot of us worked so hard there, and like a lot of us did feel that it was going to just that was it. You know what I mean? That was the end of it. So for him to come in because he loved it so much and he was a fan of it, and to kind of save it in a way was very cool of him to do. So like being there and like at that Force Honor and kind of being like, okay, this feels like like almost like a fresh kickstart here to like ROH again, and so being a part of that just made me go like, oh, like I want to be here, you know what I mean? This is a great vibe here. So we did that match, and then we started doing little stuff along the way, and then we had the feud with the Dark Order for a good amount of time there, where we ended up going Death Before Dishonor the year after, and having that match, which that match was a fight without honor match, which was those like I said, that's one of my favorite kind of matches to do, and I think for me too, it's just like those kind of matches is just like when I can do like when I can think of different creative stuff, especially for like the Vincent, the Righteous itself. I think those kind of matches kind of work better for us than just like the regular tags are great. You know what I mean? We've had some really good regular tags against like the Hardys, FTR, and like those guys. Like we had some cool six mans with like us and Lance against like Danielson and those guys. Sting and Adam Copeland was another one in Collision stuff. But yeah, we did the thing with the Dark Order, and then it's just like everything just kind of like fell into place. You know what I mean? And it's just kind of like, and and it just felt like I said before earlier, it's so cool that AEW is around because it gives a lot of people a platform to kind of showcase. You know what I mean? And especially for us who felt like at the end of ROH, I was like, oh man, like we worked so hard and da da da, and it was almost like he wanted to help everybody with in that situation, so and it's been great ever since. I've gotten to be in there with a lot of guys, you know what I mean, a lot of guys that I thought I never would be in the ring with, you know what I mean, ever in my career. So it's really cool to kind of be there now.
Yeah, so you mentioned the Hardy Boys, so obviously that's your GOAT tag team. So what's
Yeah.
the when you get in the ring with somebody you idolize and look up to? It's like I don't want to hurt you, but it's like, and then you end up defeating them too. So it's just like, do you use that as kind of like I'm nervous, I don't want to fight my idol. It's kind of like I want to fight my idol to prove, I belong here.
Yeah, yeah, you want to, and like, and it's one of those things like when I keep going back to it for the initial question of like, has wrestling always been a thing for you? And it's like my teenage years, me and my brother like grew up in that early 2000s, like we loved that time, and like now it's like you sort of like, and I feel like a lot of wrestlers would do it, you kind of like picture yourself in those situations eventually, right? Because you want to be this is what you want to do. So you kind of like picture yourself wrestling these people eventually, like, oh, it'd be so cool to do this against them one day, But you also don't, you feel like it's not reachable. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where you're like, it doesn't feel attainable. But then, like, you just, like I said, you just kind of keep doing your thing. And then you realize, like, how attainable it can be. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where, like, a match like that for me is just like, oh man, I don't think it was more nervous. I think it's just like, exciting and almost like we all have our bucket lists and goals and thing, and it was like one of those bucket list things of like, wow, here we are on Collision, what I mean, on TNT, and it's us, the Righteous versus the Hardys. Cool, you know what I mean? That's something that, same with Sting. Like we were part of one of his last matches of his tour, you know what I mean? So like that is very cool, you know what I mean, to be a part of that, like, so it was really cool to kind of like, it's more like, well, like, wow, kind of weird, you know what I mean? But it's cool, you know what I mean? It's very cool. Like I'm grateful to be able to do that and be a part of that.
Yeah. Nice, nice. Now, do you prefer being in a tag team over, a singles competitor, or would you ever go back to doing that, or would you kind of mix it up like, hey, I'll wrestle with Dutch, but then I want to do some singles matches too? Would you ever go back to single competitors?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like I mean, like I like everything, right? Like so, like singles is cool, six man's cool, and tag's cool. I like being in a tag team. I feel like especially like the Righteous itself, I just feel like there's such a cool dynamic between myself and Dutch, and we know each other so well, and we've had similar stories of our career paths, and just I think it just tag team wrestling to me is I like tag team wrestling more if I was saying things, just because it's like the things you can come up with, and then like you bounce ideas off each other, which is very helpful, and a lot of times, you know what I mean, where like, but like singles are fun too. It all depends, but like right now, like I love being a tag team wrestler.
Yeah, nice,
I
nice.
feel like I got a lot of more goals as a tag team wrestler. Like I've loved for Vincent and Dutch to become the Ring of Honor tag team champions, AEW tag team champions, whatever it is. But I feel like we still have a lot more to do as a team.
Yep, and that answered my last question. I was going to say, where do you see your future for, not only yourself, but the Righteous and AEW, and that can be short term and long term.
Yeah, like right now, our focus is on the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions, Sammy and Dustin. So right now, that's the goal as of right. That's the focus right now is to become the ROH World Tag Team Champions. Yeah, I feel like it's something that we have gotten like kind of opportunities involved with it, but I think like we have to become the ROH Tag Team Champions. That's the goal. Yeah,
Yeah.
right now that's the goal.
Nice, nice. All right, Vincent. Well, ladies and gentlemen, appreciate Vincent, one half of the tag team, the Righteous with Dutch, coming in the studio and talking with us today, Vincent. Good luck the rest of your wrestling matches and your wrestling career. I hope everything works out for you, man. Good luck.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
Coolin' with CJ, with CJ, with CJ. Coolin' with CJ, with CJ, with CJ. We coolin' with CJ, with CJ, with CJ.
Bringing the real. You know he's for real, my brother, he's cooking no chill. Views up, we talking about mills. Hold up content, captured like stills. Heavyweight champ, and he is still. From PG County to Mass, swagger on blast. Head of the class, style and class. Interviews, money like chasing the bag. The content provided, we run it like laps. Sports, music, the best that act. Entertainment from around the map. Do not be sleeping away from your nap. Bringing the best, ready to crash. Top tier records, we set 'em and smash. Delivered by Dan, we sprint and we dash.
Coolin' with CJ, with CJ, with CJ. Coolin' with CJ, with CJ, with CJ. Coolin' with CJ, with CJ, with CJ. We coolin' with CJ, with CJ, with CJ.
You just got moss. Coolin' with CJ. It's your boy Day Green.